Okay, so welcome to the Creating Cash Flow show. Today I'm going to be showing you exactly how I look at deals because I want to buy a rental property, not for short-term rentals, but for long-term rentals. So I'm going to show you exactly how I look at Zillow listings to see if it's a good deal. I'm also going to show you a really cool tool that will help you run all of the numbers that you need to be thinking about. So it will do all of that automatically. So I'm assuming most of you are new to the show. So Creating Cash Flow is all about my story from taking my portfolio from $0 in monthly passive income earnings to $1 million in monthly passive income earnings. So I share everything that I learn, everything like my wins, my losses. When I earn money, I tell you exactly how I did it. And I share all of that here. So also this is primarily a podcast, and typically these shows are best just to be listened to, but this one is actually going to be prioritized more towards the YouTube audience. So if you're just listening to this on your favorite podcast hosting platform, it might be helpful to jump over to YouTube and be able to follow along there. All right, so let's jump into it. So when I'm looking for a deal, I kind of open Zillow. Sometimes I use realtor.com, but I think Zillow is pretty easy for me. And then I pull up the United States because the United States has a lot of tax benefits when purchasing real estate, and I'm from the US, so it makes it a lot easier. So I primarily am looking for property within the United States. So from here, you can obviously zoom in anywhere. I'm sure you guys know how Zillow works. But let's say we're looking for a deal in North Carolina. So we can come over here, head over to Charlotte. So in Charlotte, it looks like, just at a quick glance, if I were to scroll through here, I don't have any filters on. So if I look at price, no min, no max, bedroom, bathrooms, and I've never looked at Charlotte before, so this is just kind of going off the cuff, and hopefully this is going to be helpful. So I'm just kind of eyeballing some of these homes that it's pulling up naturally, organically. And the good thing that I see right off the bat is none of them are too expensive. Here's a $2.6 million home, but for the most part, most of these homes look to be about $300,000 to $500,000, which that's actually really good for me because that's kind of the market that I'm looking for. I want to be able to buy something between $300,000 and $500,000. That way, I don't have to come out of pocket too much for my down payment, and I feel like the mortgage will be completely manageable. So that's kind of where I am. I don't want to be buying like $1 million home and take out, have to put down 20 to 25% on that. It's just a lot of money to have to invest out the gate and then have a lot of debt that I've been basically getting a lot of debt from the mortgage. I just don't want to take that on as part of a rental property right now. So if I look here, we can kind of jump into, this is a 2-bed, 3-bath. I ideally would want something like a 3-bed, 2-bath, but this one actually looks pretty cool. It's coming soon, so October 6th, so it's not technically listed yet or available. 4-bed, 3-bath in Charlotte, built in 1990. A few of the things that I look at just right off the bat is price per square foot. I don't want to be paying too much. I also look at the HOA fee because that essentially is going to be coming out of my bottom line. So no HOA fee is the best. 187, that's not crazy, but it also lets me know that there is an HOA, so I'd have to be able to figure out the rules for buying a property and renting it out to somebody else. So that can change everywhere. The other thing is this estimated payment. This is going to be critical, and as I scroll down, I'll talk about that more. But here's kind of the details. Let's see if anything sticks out as good or bad. New floors, that's great. A remodeled kitchen, so we'll want to see what that looks like. 2-story, great views, vaulted ceilings, 2-car garage, which is very nice. Gutter guards, and then let's see. Neighborhood features walking trails, scenic 14-acre lake, pool and clubhouse with exercise room, tennis courts, and playground area. So that's actually really good to know. So for your HOA of 187 bucks, you're getting a lot out of it. And this is actually something that I'll want to look into about the area, which is, are there a lot of other communities like this, or is this a kind of a special community that has the tennis courts, the 14-acre lake, the pool, and the clubhouse? That'll be interesting because as people are shopping around for rental property to move into, a 4-bedroom, what was this, 4-bedroom, 3-bath, most likely will be a family, and they could find a lot of value in this. So right now I think that this looks pretty good. Another thing that I like to keep an eye out for personally is a new roof, just because you have to update the roof about every 20 years. And I don't want to be buying a house kind of on the 19th and 20th year, where before I actually start earning money on the property, I have to go in and fix the roof. So this doesn't say anything about the roof. I'm sure I could get that information later, but usually if there is a new roof, they'll call it out there because it's a large expense that you got to take care of. So just kind of cruising through here, other things I look at. Okay, so the estimated monthly cost. So this is again, like I said, critical. So the principal and interest, so the home price, if we were to get the home for $384,000 and we put a down payment of $76,800, there's going to be closing costs that won't be calculated here, but those will be one-time fee type deal closing costs. So we're putting 20% down at a 6.189 interest rate. So the interest rates are obviously going up, trending up, which stinks, but it is how it is. So property taxes, you can actually go verify that these are the property tax numbers. And so I won't do that now in this video, but let's just look at, we've got our property taxes being calculated in, our home insurance is being calculated in, HOA fees is 62 bucks a month, which I thought it said it was more than that. Quarterly HOA fee, oh, okay, so it's only a quarterly HOA fee. So I kind of misread that before. So that's good to look into, which is 60 bucks a month, and that gets you tennis courts, pools, and all of that, which seems very reasonable to me. Utilities are included, so as the landlord, you could pass those on to the tenant, and basically you just want to see how other landlords and how it's kind of being taken care of in that area. As schools, I really like to look for good schools. It looks like these school ratings aren't great, so you kind of want to look into that. If a family's going to be moving into this, they probably want to put their kids in good schools. So maybe there's good private schools nearby, or maybe there's just not good schools in Charlotte. I don't know. I'd have to look into that. So those are a few things to consider. The walk score, that doesn't matter. It's the suburbs, so probably everyone's going to have a car. Again, I don't think this stuff matters that much. And the bike score is going to be based on being able to bike to places like convenience stores or like places that you need to get to or work. But this doesn't really matter. But it seems like it'd be a great place to bike around the neighborhood with your family and be able to walk around the neighborhood and walk on the trails and maybe even bike on the trails. So it doesn't mean you can't get out and about and have a great outdoor experience, but those scores are pretty low. And then if we keep going down, sometimes it will have a rent zestimate, so an estimate of what this property would be able to rent for, and I don't see one. It's usually right under the monthly cost. Okay, so they don't have it. So now we can go look at the pictures quickly, and the new floors look good. It kind of has an older design, 20, 30 years old, so not incredible on the inside, but also it looks good enough. It looks like somebody would definitely live in here, and it wouldn't take really any rehab costs. Here's the backyard. I think that's kind of interesting to see that it is woodsy. Again, I don't know this area at all. This might be a very common backyard, but there's no grass to go play on, so that looks like kind of a con. But yeah, so we get the idea that it is a bit of a community. Okay, cool. So the community looks nice, apparently called Davis Lake. The tennis courts look like they are well taken care of. So now I'm going to copy this address here. So 9227 Pebble Creek Way. And there's this really cool website called DealCheck, dealcheck.io. I'm not affiliated with them or Zillow or anybody. I'm just showing you how I look at deals. I recently found out about this DealCheck, and it's super helpful. I really like it. So let me show you why. I'm going to come in here and add a property. So I was in the rental section, and then I can add a new rental property. I'm on the free version, so there are paid versions, but the free version has been working pretty good for me so far. So I copy and paste the address, it pulls up here, and I will search this. So it's going to pull up the details about the home, and I can go and check in on those details and make sure they look good based on what Zillow was saying. So I can come in here and say the Zillow's estimate is 384, the Realtor.com estimate is 418. So that's a pretty big discrepancy. I don't usually see a discrepancy that big, and you can choose which one you want to go with. Because I'm using Zillow, I'm going to go with the 384, and then also here we have the Zestimate, which we didn't see on the website, but apparently they're able to pull one in. So I'm going to stick with what Zillow is saying. We'll actually look at how I look at this rental estimate later, because I go and kind of fact check this, as this would be a critical point. But it's saying we could potentially rent it for just over 2,000, so 2,140. And then we come in here, we see the rest of the details. I think it's important just to scroll through quickly and make sure it looks exactly how it looked on Zillow. And then once we push calculate, we see immediately that cash needed is $88,320. So this is going to include the down payment plus closing costs, and I'll show you a little bit of that. And this is the quick view cash flow. It's telling me I'm going to cash flow a negative $356 a month. And let me show you how it is getting this. So basically it's saying the purchase price, the amount financed here, and then the down payment is going to be $76,800. So that's going to be 20% plus the purchase costs, which you can go in there and change what you think the purchase costs are going to be. It also comes and defines all of this stuff, which I really like. So if you aren't really sure what something means, it's going to tell you. So I've been learning a lot on this sheet. Here's the interesting thing is the cash flow here. So the cash flow is telling me my gross rent, which is 2,140. So the income is my gross rent, and then we want to take out all the expenses. So expenses is CapEx and property taxes, insurance, property management fees. So if you were going to manage this property yourself, you could actually take this down to $0 a month. I would be relying on property managers, so I want to keep that in there. And then the maintenance is $214 a month. So here are all of your expenses that are getting taken out of your gross rent, which puts you at a negative 356. And I've set some criteria down here below, which I want to say, hey, I want to be able to close on a home for less than $80,000. I wanted to pass the 2% rule. I want to pass the 50% rule, which you can look those up if you don't know what those are. And then I want to be able to cash flow no less than $400. So this overall gets an X here, saying it doesn't match my criteria. Obviously the negative cash flow is going to be a big concern here. And if you want, you can actually come and change these numbers to see what would make this property make sense. So maybe you want to change the rental amount. So maybe you say, hey, you know what? It's saying I can only rent this for $2,140. Is that accurate? So how I check that is I come over here. Let me open actually a new tab in the same area. So I'll be in the exact same area. So I am here in Davis Lake Eastfield. Now I'm going to come over here and change it to for rent. And I'm going to get a little bit more specific because I know that property is a 4-bed, 2.5 bath, but I'll just say 2 bath. And I'll see what the rental rates are going for. So on the low end, I see here 1.9, 1.9 for 4 bed, 2 bath. Here on the higher end, I see a 3.1, 4 bed, 2.5 bath. So this is going to be a little closer to what the property is that we're looking at. So 3.1, obviously that's not rented. Let's see, this is another 4 bed, 2 bath at 2.4. 4 bed, 3 bath at 2.5. So you'll see that this ranges from high ones, really low twos, to low threes. And it looks like the ones that are kind of in the lower twos are at 4 bed, 2 bath, while the ones that are a little bit on the higher end are a 4 bed, 3 bath, or 4 bed, 2.5 bath potentially. So we could say we want to be competitive, but 2.4 is looking like the going rate here. And we can also go look at these homes and say, hey, well, do these look significantly nicer or significantly better than the home I'm looking at purchasing? And so let's look at them. That last one didn't. This one doesn't look any nicer. It looks about on par, and it's 2.5. Here's this one that's 2.55, and yeah, they don't look significantly nicer. The other thing to note is it looks like there are quite a few rental opportunities in the area. So to be able to get someone in your home, you're going to have some competition. So the 2.4, we'd want to go and check these and say, hey, well, do these come with the tennis courts and the pools and the trails and all of that? So I'm going to assume that they don't. Let's just assume that they don't, which would mean when we come back to DealCheck, we see that our gross rent is a little bit low. So I'm not going to go all the way to the 3.1, but let's just say 2,700. That can be pretty competitive. And they get the tennis courts, the pools, the trails, and all of that, which is pretty great. So I can just update that super easy. So here you're going to see that now we hit a positive cash flow, which is a positive 13, which is not a lot, but that is definitely better. So again, you have your income, which is now your 2,700, minus your expenses, which is all of your operating expenses. And I failed to mention this before, but this also includes your loan payments. So this is taking into account that you didn't buy cash, you didn't buy the home outright with cash. So it's assuming you put down 20%. So there's another cool feature here that you can go and say, hey, my buy and hold projections. You can come over here and see your gross rent, what this will be year 1, year 2, all the way out to year 30. And what your expenses will look like, property taxes, your cash flow. So in the first year, you're going to cash flow $161. So this is not looking like the best property, but hey, we're positively cash flowing, and the tenant is paying off our mortgage, which is great. But you make $161 in the first year. The next year, let's see, year 5, and by year 30, that's when you'll be cash flowing about $14,000 a year. So definitely not a killer property, but we feel like this could potentially at least break even, which is interesting. So if this is a property that I want to be able to track longer term, I can leave it here. And on the free version, I can add up to 15 of these, but that's not very many when you're looking at a lot of deals, and you have to be able to really find the best property for you. So what I've been doing to be able to keep the free version and not go in over my head is I'll keep a separate worksheet. So let's come over here and call this Charlotte. So I have the worksheet called Investment Homes. Now Charlotte would be the name of this, and then I'll come over here and say this property is 9227. Just copy and paste some details in here. as well as the link to the property. So this is just a quick showing of how I take a deal that I find on Zillow and then bring it over to DealCheck, DealCheck.io. And there's a lot of different tools that you can play with on DealCheck.io to be able to manipulate and figure out, okay, well, how much am I willing to pay for that property? What could I raise rent to? It allows you to do all of that. And rather than keeping track of that on a spreadsheet, which I built out my own spreadsheet and it was a lot of work and probably not worth it, DealCheck.io to me checks the box for me. So I think that's pretty smooth. And then based on the properties that you want to go look at, just bring them over to a spreadsheet, and then you don't have to pay for DealCheck.io. You can manage it a little bit more manually. Probably in the future, I will want to get the pro version, but for now, this works great. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a like. And if there's any tools that you use that you think would be helpful for me, I would love to hear about them. So remember that the mind is a powerful thing, and what you focus on grows. So stay focused on your goals, stay focused and committed to the things that will get you your goals. And with that, stay grounded in gratitude, and I'll catch you later. See ya.